Imagine this. After defeating the god of thunder Zeus, a tornado launches you into the clouds. You now have to survive 100 days on a single cloud and progress through the outermost layers of the atmosphere. You'll experience extraordinary weather, mystical beasts, and discover the secrets of the sky. What untold mysteries await in the depths of the atmosphere? Stay tuned to find out. Also, our new goal is to reach 2 million subscribers this year, so if you go on to enjoy this video, make sure to subscribe to join me on my adventures. On day 101, I spawned back into my windmill. I walked outside and everything was back where I had left it. It wasn't too long till I was greeted by a familiar face.
Where have you been for the past 100 days?
Cloudberry. Well, it's kind of a long story, so I'll tell you about it later. I really need to know what happened while I was asleep.
Well, I was looking around for some food, and I heard a huge slam. I looked around and found you knocked out on top of the windmill.
Did anything else happen while I was away?
Nothing really. I counted clouds floating by. 9,001, 9,002. Consumed all of the food supplies. And nearly died to a giant tornado. Ah! Tornado!
All the food supplies? Nah, there's no way. You've gotta be kidding. Luckily, I checked a few chests and found some extra seeds, so with some bone meal, I ended up replenishing all my food supplies, and before I knew it, I was back in the ender layer of the atmosphere. I started collecting materials by shooting clouds with my Cupid's bow, receiving some gold, emeralds, and diamonds. So for the rest of day 101 and beginning of day 102, I bowed down a bunch of clouds for materials, and then mined all my diamond ore, emerald ore, and smelted some ancient debris. However, while getting levels, I got attacked by ender bees.
Ender bees! Don't get stung!
I think I've already got stung like 10 times. After defeating a couple ender bees, they actually dropped ender pearls. They were actually doing a ton of damage, so I had to throw down a health potion and eat some food. But after a while, I finally fought them all off.
Phew, that was close.
For the remainder of day 102, I collected some XP from my mob grinder, realized it was nighttime, and then went to sleep. On the morning of day 103, I went outside and began collecting clouds again. I made sure to do so for my watchtower and pretty much did this for the rest of the day to get as many materials as I could, and I got a lot of goodies. I then decided to harvest all of my crops and my netherwort and started to mine as much cobblestone as I could for my cobblestone generator. I had an idea for another build that I would make, but firstly, I repaired all of my armor, got some more XP, and enchanted an Efficiency 4 Silk Touch 1 and Efficiency 4 Fortune 3 pick. I then fortuned all the ores that I had gotten, and while mining cobblestone, a message appeared across my screen saying my cloud had expanded. I went outside my base to check, and it seemed like it got a little bit larger, but I couldn't tell. Now that I had some more room outside of my cloud, I decided to make an exit outside of my castle walls. I was definitely starting to feel a little cramped inside my base, so expanding was definitely the right move.
Hey, Forrest!
Yes?
Let's go exploring.
I'm not sure if we're ready to go exploring yet, Cloudberry.
I've been stuck here for over 100 days. I'm getting cloud sick.
Okay, fair point. I'll make some preparations and we'll go exploring, alright?
Hooray! I'm so excited.
In order to prepare for traveling, I made a bunch of fireworks and got some extra food. Cloudberry hopped onto my head, and then I climbed up to the top of my windmill and got ready to jump off and explore the exosphere with my elytra. It was definitely a little bit scary knowing I only had so many fireworks, but after about a day of travel, I finally ran into something with Cloudberry. Whoa, what is that?
Look, there's a nest at the top.
Does this mountain go all the way down to the overworld?
What kind of egg is that?
I'm not sure, but we could make it into a giant omelet.
No, don't do that. Let's bring it back to our cloud and try to hatch it.
But what if the mother returns to her nest and sees her egg is missing?
Well, let's wait here for the rest of the day. And if the mother doesn't come back by sunset, we'll take it.
Okay, that's fair, I guess. Let's wait here for now. And so, for the rest of day 108, Cloudberry and I kept an eye on the mysterious egg. We weren't sure what kind of creature it belonged to, but whatever it was, I was hoping it wasn't hostile. After waiting out the rest of the day, I decided it was time to take the egg. I acquired a mysterious egg and started to head back to base.
You'll need to build an incubator to keep it warm.
It's actually not a bad idea. Finally, in the night of day 109, I returned back to my base. Okay, Cloudberry, I'll collect materials, you protect the egg.
Roger that.
So for the next couple of days, I began collecting materials for the incubator. After collecting a ton of wood, I began building it up off the side of my castle walls. I needed to make sure the incubator had proper lighting, as well as protection from the elements. So after building up the foundation, I surrounded it with a glass dome, put another light on top, and the incubator was complete. After completing the incubator, I farmed my crops so I would have a ton of extra food for whatever hatched from the egg. Let's go check out the egg.
Stay away from my precious egg, Heathen. Ah!
Cloudberry, it's just me.
Oh, sorry about that, Forrest. My maternal instincts kicked in.
It's alright, We just need to move the egg into the incubator. I just finished building it.
Well, why didn't you say so?
So on day 117, I moved the egg into the incubator.
Make sure to collect a ton of food for when the egg hatches, Forrest.
And so, following Cloudberry's advice, I bred all my sheep and cows and pigs. And while collecting materials at night, there looked like there was stuff coming out of the sky.
Whoa, they're shooting stars.
Shooting stars?
Ah, they're exploding stars.
Wait, what? Wait, they're 2.5 hearts. Oh my gosh, okay, that hurts. I'm staying inside. After realizing shooting stars are quite dangerous, I woke up to a brand new age. I was now in the crimson layer of the atmosphere. I began to shoot down clouds with my Cupid's bow and received new items. Right off the bat, I had gotten blaze rods, and for the next couple of days, I shot down as many clouds as I could to see what other goodies I could get. I got diamonds, gold, blackstone, magma blocks, and all sorts of other nether supplies. I then went back to mining cobblestone and heard something. Where's that sound coming from?
It's coming from the egg.
Is it hatching?
Stand back.
Wait, it looks like it's gonna hatch? Wait, what? What the heck is that?
It was a Thunderwing Titan egg. It's gonna eat me.
Wait, it is? Well, let's calm down, Cloudberry. Just a baby. I'm sure if we raise it properly, it won't kill us. Hopefully.
Okay, I'll keep my distance for now.
Now that the egg had hatched, I grabbed a bunch of hay bales I had farmed before and placed them down for the baby Thunderwing Titan inside the incubator.
We should name it.
True, we really should. Do you have any ideas?
What about Sparky?
That's not bad. I think Spark sounds a little cooler, though.
Its name is now Sparky.
Alright, fine. Sparky it is. On the morning of day 121, a message popped up across my screen saying there was a mega piglin invasion. What the heck are those? There was a ton of giant piglins across my walls, and I started to get barraged with arrows. I managed to take the first one out and was trying to target them one by one. They were doing a lot of damage even though I was in full protection 3 diamond armor. I went behind my cobblestone generator to eat, but they still managed to hit me. So I threw down a potion and continued to bow down the mega piglins. After a little while, I finally managed to take out the rest, and shortly after I defeated them all, my cloud had expanded. I went outside my castle walls to take a look, and the cloud had gotten much larger. Now I had a pretty good idea of what to build out here. So for the next day, I silk touched a bunch of stone for materials for my next build, and then I went outside to clear an area for a bit of a smaller project I had. I planted a bunch of melon seeds that I didn't have room for inside, and then continued shooting down clouds on top of my walls. What's that noise?
Save yourselves!
Oh my gosh! Cloudberry, get inside! This is gonna burn down my house! Oh, you gotta be joking, my pigs! Turns out the crimson layer of the atmosphere was much more dangerous than I had anticipated. The fire rain continued for the next few minutes. I started to put out some of the fires in the back of my base, and then went back inside to wait out the storm. After waiting for about half a day, the firestorm had finally finished. However, my cloud was covered in fire now. For the rest of day 124, I put out all the fires on my cloud, which some even hit the top of my windmill. It even took some of day 125 to clear out the fires, but for the rest of the day, I got a bunch more food for Sparky, and on day 126, I restocked on potions. I got strengths, speeds, and instant healths.
I think Sparky needs a new home. Let's build Sparky a nest.
By us, you mean me, right? Yep, that's what I thought. So after collecting a bunch of materials for my cobblestone generator, I began working on the foundation of the nest. I decided to build it on top of the barn as I wanted it to be a high point, and so mobs couldn't get to Sparky. I then made sure to cap it off with a roof so it couldn't get hit by any weather, and by day 133, I had completed the nest, which was just about height level with the clouds. All that was left was to move Sparky into his new nest.
Look! Sparky grew!
I think you may be right, Cloudberry. He does look a little bit bigger. Some of the food is gone too.
They grow so fast.
So I transported Sparky into the new nest, and then went to go get more hay bales for Sparky.
Sparky looks hungry still. Let's look for more substantial food.
I guess hay bales aren't enough, huh? Where the heck are we gonna find food this high up in the clouds?
We found a Thunderwing Titan egg this high up, so finding food isn't that far-fetched.
It's a good point. Well, I guess we gotta go exploring. So I climbed down the ladder and let Cloudberry on my head and started to explore the atmosphere once more. After a few days of travel, I finally ran into a floating sky island.
Over there, a floating island.
Look at the size of those trees. After landing on the island, I went over the hill and saw magma cubes and flying hippos.
Whoa, what are those?
That's what you call a hippo, Cloudberry. Okay, they actually do a lot of damage. I gotta be careful here. It looks like they're dropping raw beef. We could get that to Sparky. Okay, gotta be oh my gosh, that's a lot of damage. All right, throw it on a pot. After taking a bunch of damage from the flying hippos, I started to take them out one by one, but also had to deal with a ton of magma cubes. I was happy to see that they dropped some sort of meat so that we could feed it to Sparky. After a while, I finally took out all the flying hippos on the island. I then put on my elytra and started to explore the build that was on the island. It was kind of strange, and some of it was built out of bedrock. Once I landed on the roof, there was some sort of strange sign that I couldn't read. What the heck does that say? From the top of the roof, Cloudberry and I watched the sunset, and once night had struck, I took out my bed from my ender chest and went to sleep. I then decided to keep exploring the atmosphere as I had plenty of rockets still, and then ran into another island, which looked like it was a village. Kind of felt out of place for being in the Crimson layer. There was also a lake in the center that was surrounded with crying obsidian. I was kind of curious, so I decided to fish out of the lake to see what I could catch.
Oh boy, let's catch some fish.
After a while, I caught some normal fish and fed some to Cloudberry, and then I caught a strange fish called a coffin fish. I wasn't exactly sure what to do with it.
I want to try it.
Are you sure, Cloudberry? I don't know if it's poisonous or not.
It's okay, I've got a strong stomach.
All right, but only take a small bite. Okay, here you go.
How?
Cloudberry? Are you all right?
Feels so good.
What's going on?
My stomach.
Oh no. What's wrong, Cloudberry? Where are you going? Cloudberry? Oh my gosh.
Bring me fish.
What the heck is that?
Catch this if you can.
Cloudberry? You gotta be kidding me. She turned into a boss. And so the battle against the hangry Cloudberry boss began. She threw giant snowballs and even whipped me with her tail. She hit me all the way onto the roof and I was forced to splash down a potion. I decided to create some distance by elytraing away as I was pretty much in a corner. I circled around and landed on the roof, equipped my chest plate, and then threw down another potion. I really didn't want to, but I knew I had to take out Cloudberry to restore her back to normal. I didn't want to have to do this, Cloudberry.
Where is all of my
fish?
fish? Bring the fish to me, my minions.
Wait, what? Wait, they have TNT. All of a sudden, Cloudberry summoned a bunch of seal minions that were holding TNT. I knew I needed to get away and start bowing them down, and Cloudberry continuously threw giant snowballs at me. I managed to block one of the giant snowballs with my shield and blocked one of the TNT seals. I then created some distance to drink my potions, took out some more of the minions, and got hit by another giant snowball. I then used my Cupid's bow to land some more bow shots on Cloudberry. I then got hit by some water ability and was forced to throw down a potion.
Feed me or perish, mortal.
What's happening? Hailstorm, what the heck? Okay, that hurts. The hailstorm started to rain down and I was taking a ton of damage and nearly died. I noticed the Cloudberry boss is extremely low on HP, but the bow shots weren't working. I got hit by another giant snowball, landed another bow shot, and was nearly dead. I then hid underneath a roof and ate some food. Once I regened on health, I went to go land the final bow shot.
Feed me fish.
I think I did it. Cloudberry! Okay, hopefully it's returned her to normal. Can these things get away? Oh, thank goodness she's all right. With Cloudberry asleep in my head, I launched myself through the atmosphere once more to return to my base. After a full night of travel, I finally made it back on day 139. Also, make sure to check out my Cloudberry cloak in the Lunar Client store, link to the description below. I was gonna make sure to probably avoid that island from now on. I wonder what the heck would have happened if I ate that fish. Luckily, Sparky was okay, and I had an idea to build Cloudberry a bed back in my base. Once the bed was finished, I placed Cloudberry on top as she was still sleeping. I then put the cooked food around Sparky so he had plenty of food to eat, and once that was finished, I moved on to my next project. I already had one watchtower on the corner of my cloud, so I decided why not add a few more on the other corners of my cloud for some symmetry. I basically worked on these watchtowers for a full 6 days, as I kind of went a little bit too big with this one watchtower, but I thought it was worth it since it would provide me a lot of extra storage space. And once that was finished, my base was looking a lot cooler. Shortly after finishing the watchtowers, I entered into the glacial layer of the atmosphere. The sky was an icy blue, and I was getting new items from the clouds. I was getting spruce leaves, spruce saplings, packed ice, podzol, snow, and plenty of other materials you'd find in a snowy biome. I decided to shoot down clouds for the rest of day 147. However, while shooting down clouds, I noticed there was a baby polar bear cub on one of the clouds. I built up and stopped it in its path so I could save it, and nearly let it die of fall damage in the process, but luckily it survived, and I now have myself a pet polar bear. Cloudberry was still sleeping, so I decided to look at how many items I had gotten from the clouds, and I had gotten a lot of new cool items. However, it wasn't long after till I got a message on my screen saying there was a snowman invasion. What the heck? Ow! I then continued to bow down each and every snowman that was trying to kill me, and a few even got into my base somehow. I found one that was on my castle walls and decided to push it into a corner and trap it. After blocking him up and surrounding him with glass, I decided to name him Gerald the Snowman. However, it wasn't long after I named Gerald that something else started to happen. What's going on? The clouds above became gray, and there was lightning and water particles everywhere. It turns out I got caught into the middle of a typhoon. So I decided to wait it out for the night, and eventually the typhoon came to a stop. With such a violent storm that took place, I decided it was probably a good idea to check on Cloudberry. Cloudberry, are you awake? What the heck?
Good morning.
Who are you? What did you do at Cloudberry?
Whoa, calm down. Did you hit your head or something?
Wait, Cloudberry? Did you grow? All your fluff is gone.
Bro, what's that mean?
No, this can't be Cloudberry. She nearly doubled in size. There's no possible way that she...
Hey, I need some fish.
Wait, it really is you. That fish you ate must have really done a number to you.
Of course it's me. Now bring me fish, stat. I'm getting hangry over here.
All right. Just give me a minute. So I went over to my auto fisher and grabbed some fish out of the chest.
Oh, fish.
There you go, Cloudberry. And that's the rest.
I need more. Bring more fish. I'm starving.
I guess your appetite grew just as much as you. With Cloudberry still hungry, I decided to go back to my auto fisher and get a bunch more food for her for the next day. After getting a bunch of fish, I began building a spot where Cloudberry could swim all day long. I built a second exit outside of my castle walls and created a nice in-cloud pool. I made sure to add a diving board and some beach chairs and went to go tell Cloudberry.
Whoa, a pool.
Feel free to test the waters, Cloudberry.
Yay.
After dropping off my items in my base, I walked out to a hailstorm. There seemed to be ice blazes that were raining down too. I went on top of my walls and started to bow them down one by one. I got pretty low on HP at some points. I went inside and used the cover of my base to take out the rest of the blazes. Eventually, I went to bed and slept off the hailstorm. At the start of day 155, I decided to repair all my diamond armor and turn the rest of my diamond armor into netherite armor. I then got some more levels, but didn't really like the rates at which mobs were spawning, so I decided to make a second layer to the mob grinder so I could get mobs twice as fast. I then decided to brew a bunch of potions, including instant health potions, speed potions, strength potions, and then went to go feed my baby Thunderwing Titan with some more steak.
Hey, let's go exploring again, Forrest. I'm ready to steal some sky pirate treasure again.
You know, there's one minor issue, Cloudberry. How the heck are you gonna fit on my head? My neck would probably break.
It's okay, I just learned how to swim. We'll be fine.
Listen, Cloudberry, there's no way I can take you out exploring with me anymore. We'll leave it at that, okay? I went inside to go organize my chest for a minute, but when I went back outside...
See? I can swim now. Let's go steal some more treasure.
You can fly? Since when could seals fly? I can't even be surprised anymore. For crying out loud, you turned into a giant after eating a tropical fish.
Let's get moving.
All right, Cloudberry, we'll go exploring. Just let me prepare some items and we'll get going. I then crafted a bunch of fireworks and went to sleep, but then woke up to the sound of a blizzard.
Take cover.
I don't think we're gonna be able to travel in this, Cloudberry. I then tried to wait out the blizzard inside for the rest of the day, but it didn't seem to stop, so I went to sleep. I then woke up to a strange message across my screen. What is that? I thought phoenixes were made of fire. I then began to pelt the frost phoenix with arrows, which didn't seem to do any damage, but the frost phoenix started to come down into melee range. I managed to land a few hits with my sword once it came down, drank my potions, and went in to land even more hits. The frost phoenix then postured up and started to shoot an ice breath at me. Okay, I can't get hit by that. I managed to circle away from its ice breath and land a bunch more hits with my sword. The ice phoenix then got caught up on one of my walls, so I managed to hit it a bunch more times. All of a sudden, the frost phoenix twirled into the air and summoned down an ice spike storm. Oh my gosh. I cannot get hit by those. There's so much ice. The ice phoenix eventually came down and I landed a few more hits, but got pelted by a bunch of ice spikes and was taking a ton of damage. The ice phoenix then started to launch giant ice balls at me. Luckily, that one barely missed, but I was forced to run to my potion chest and resupply an instant health. After restocking, I went in to get a few hits and got hit by a giant ice ball. I threw down a potion and climbed the ice to land some more hits, and the ice phoenix was getting extremely low on HP. I threw down another potion and went to go try and finish him off, and with only 2 potions left, I finally defeated the ice phoenix. Afterwards, I checked my inventory and actually received 35 ice phoenix shards. Now there was a ton of ice all over my base, so for the rest of the day, I cleared out all the ice. With these ice phoenix shards, I crafted myself an ice phoenix chest plate, helmet, leggings, boots, sword, and shield. Shortly after crafting them all, I found out that the sword had 2 abilities. One where it could shoot snowballs and the other where it could shoot ice beams. Not to mention the armor looked amazing. So I started working on getting a bunch of EXP to enchant all my new items. I started off by enchanting protection 4 on my boots, protection 3 on my chest plate, protection 3 on my pants, and sharpness 4 on my sword. I then decided to check on Sparky and found something I was not expecting. Did Sparky grow? Oh my gosh. I think Sparky got a little bit bigger. Now that Sparky had grown a lot larger, I figured it was time to start collecting materials for a much bigger enclosure for Sparky. After finishing collecting all the materials I needed, I got to work on making Sparky's own little house. It would kind of act more like a stable if anything, so I made sure to add plenty of ways to get in and out of the enclosure. After about 3 days of building, the build was finally complete, and all I had left to do was to move Sparky into his new home. All right, Sparky, it's time to go. Why isn't this Wait, what? I can ride Sparky as a mount. No way. After finding out I could actually ride Sparky as a mount, I did a little bit of a test ride around his house and then parked him inside of his stable.
Whoa, what happened to Sparky?
Sparky grew a lot, but anyways, we can actually go exploring now, Cloudberry.
Let's go.
So while riding Sparky, Cloudberry and I began to explore the glacial layer of the atmosphere. This was gonna make my travel on the clouds a lot easier. After a couple of days of traveling alongside Cloudberry, we ended up finding a snowy island. Whoa, what's down there? Is that a walrus?
Don't go, there's usually predators there. We need to be careful.
I'll be fine, Cloudberry, don't you worry. So I went down to greet the walrus and found out it was hostile pretty quickly. I also found out that my ability on my sword had pretty much no cooldown, so I shot as many ice beams as I could at the walrus. I also used my snowball machine gun to take out the slimes that he was spawning. To my surprise, the walrus did a ton of damage as well, and I was using a lot of potions. I continued using as many ice beams as I could and got brought down to 1 heart, nearly dying, but quickly splashed down some potions. He then let out a roar and shot a bunch more slimes at me, forcing me to throw down another couple potions. Finally, after launching a bunch more ice beams and splashing down my last potion, I defeated the walrus. It looked like the walrus had dropped something and it ended up being a penguin's bane. I guess that must have been from the penguin that was on top of it. After defeating the walrus, Cloudberry and I, on top of Sparky, began to head back to base. And after a couple days of travel, I finally made it back to my cloud. I dropped Sparky off inside of the stable, and shortly after, my cloud had expanded. I went outside to go see how big my cloud had gotten, and it seemed like there was a lot more room now. For the rest of the day, I farmed all my crops across the cloud, grinded out a bunch of levels to put efficiency 4 on breaking 3 on an axe and sharpness 4 on breaking 3 on my penguin's bane. I then woke up to a brand new age called the Dark Age. Was I in the final layer of the atmosphere? I started to receive items like dripstone blocks, azaleas, deep slate gold, and a bunch of items you'd normally get in the deep dark dimension. I decided to keep shooting down clouds for the next couple of days and received a ton of different items. Amethyst, glowberries, copper ore. However, after walking out of my tower, a message about solar winds popped up on my screen.
Save yourselves!
More fire? What are these? Turns out as you get higher into the atmosphere, more insane weather happens. Not only was there fire, but there were ender crows. They were dropping ender pearls and they were also poisoning me. I quickly ran inside my tower and used my Ice Phoenix Sword's abilities to take out the ender crows. After taking out all the remaining ender crows, I ran inside to take shelter and waited until the solar flare stopped. I then spent the next couple of days putting out all the fires on my cloud, as pretty much everything was up in flames. I then began collecting a bunch of spruce wood for my next project. After a couple days of collecting all the materials I needed, I began turning Sparky's old nest into a clock tower. I took out all the hay bales and leaves, put in redstone lamps, and tore down the roof. I used spruce wood for the accents, made the roof of the clock tower out of cobblestone, so it blended well with the barn. And after putting in a daylight sensor, my build was complete. I set it up so that the redstone lamps would go on at night, and I also set up an auto smelter inside of my other tower. After going to the top of the tower, a message saying the void approaches popped up across my screen. Ender particles began to surround me, and before I knew it, meteorites started to rain down. What is happening? Are those end portals? Why are there so many? I had a feeling this meant I was getting even closer to the end of the atmosphere. I had to take evasive action and ran inside and went to sleep to try and avoid the storm. However, I woke up to something quite strange.
Wow, those are beautiful.
Cloudberry, you might want to stay away from those.
Ouch!
Told you. I was guessing those weird looking jellyfish came out of those portals, but since they clearly stung, I didn't want them to hurt Cloudberry, so I took them all out. All right, Cloudberry, I took out all the jellyfish. You're safe to come back. I've been thinking about Sparky though lately, and something just doesn't add up.
What do you mean?
Well, how did the egg stay there for so long? Was there something watching over it for a while that just decided to abandon it?
Well, we don't know if the Thunderwing Titan was a mother or father, but maybe it was the other parent watching over it.
Fair points, I'm not sure. I did have an idea though. Maybe we should try and search the atmosphere for Sparky's lost parent.
But what does Sparky want to do?
I don't know, I don't speak Thunderwing Titan.
I think Sparky wants to go exploring.
You mean you want to go exploring. But you know what? I'm just as curious as you, so I'm gonna prepare to go exploring. After the conversation I had with Sparky, I immediately started to brew as many potions as I could. I knew this journey that we were going to embark on was gonna be pretty dangerous. After a few days, we ended up reaching a point where the sky was a deep purple and we ended up passing meteors. Be careful, Cloudberry!
Meteorites, run away!
Before we even knew it, Cloudberry and I were in the middle of a meteor shower. We dodged and weaved as many meteorites as we could and eventually got out. Those meteors look a little bit bigger. I think they may have come off this giant asteroid. After finding this massive asteroid, Cloudberry and I moved in to land on the asteroid, but once I dismounted, something strange happened. Wait, Sparky, come back! What the heck happened? Did something scare him? I guess we'll have to look for him later.
I have a bad feeling about this.
So Sparky and I began to climb this asteroid, and it wasn't long after till I saw something in the distance. Cloudberry, don't go! What are you doing?
If you'd be so kind to... Take evasive action!
Okay, I guess I gotta fight this thing now. Ouch! And just like that, the battle with this void dragon began. I had no idea if it had any relation to Sparky, but I blocked some of its attack with my shield and managed to close the distance a little bit to land the first few hits. The void dragon then began breathing fire breath at me, which did a lot of damage. I closed the distance again and landed a bunch more hits, but could not stop getting hit by the projectiles. The void dragon kept on constantly knocking me back, so I drank another speed potion and landed a few more hits. But then the void dragon started to fly. Why was I not expecting that? I managed to block a bunch of its fire breath, as well as one of the projectiles, and I got the idea to use my elytra and my fireworks to my advantage. I launched myself with the void dragon, landing hit after hit, and used my fireworks to launch myself around, dodging its abilities, and to close the distance to land hits on the void dragon. I was able to dodge the fire a lot easier, but the projectiles would still track me down and hit me. I was starting to get the hang of this elytra thing, and was continuously landing hits on the void dragon. However, it seemed like the void dragon was getting even stronger. What is that? I do not want to get hit by that. Oh my gosh, that withered me. I launched myself away from the immediate danger, but still was actively trying to damage the void dragon as much as I could. He then used that strange ability again, and I made sure to quickly launch away from it with my elytra. I finally got him down to half health, but then he used another strange ability. The heck are these? Wait, are those gonna heal him? Okay, need to break one more. Yes, I cannot let this guy heal. I continued to hit the void dragon as much as I could, but then accidentally launched myself into those strange orbs. I was brought down to 2 hearts of health, so I splashed down potions, and the void dragon started to use these abilities even more. Luckily, I barely dodged that one and took out the healing orbs and went in to do more damage. After launching myself into the void dragon over and over again, the void dragon then used a new ability. What is happening? I still don't understand what the heck that is. Wait, I can't move. Is that a black hole? No way. No, I can't get sucked into that. I need to break it somehow. I'll try using arrows. Come on. Yes, I think I broke it. After barely escaping the black hole, the void dragon was left with only 1/5 of his HP. I knew it was now or never. I did as much damage as I could, saw the void dragon summoning another black hole, barely broke it in time, and then launched myself into the air again. The void dragon was now extremely low on HP. I was down to my last fireworks though. Finally launched myself into the air one more time, and I defeated the void dragon. I went to go see what dropped from it, and it was a void dragon Nodachi. This thing looked awesome. I then met back up with Cloudberry and found a strange cave in the side of the asteroid. Are these eggshells? I guess they already hatched.
They must have already left the nest.
Anyways, Cloudberry, you want to let me ride on your back?
Roger that.
All right, let's go home. So, lucky for me, Cloudberry let me ride on her back, and we made it all the way back to base. Wait a second, is that Sparky? Oh, that's a relief. I guess Thunderwing Titans have a good sense of direction.
Hooray!
It was finally day 200, but I had one last thing I wanted to do. I got Sharpness 4 on my Void Dragon Nodachi and realized that this thing had a special ability. But while testing it out, all of a sudden, I wonder how this will do against mobs. Wait, Sparky? What are you doing? Sparky, what the heck? Let go of me. Okay, maybe don't let go of me. This is really high up. Oh my gosh, is that a black hole? No! Ah, what the heck? Why did Sparky do that all of a sudden? And where the heck am I? Wait a second. Am I in the middle of a galaxy? I wonder what 100 days on a star would be like. I want to give a big shout out to Lily Pichu and Yvonne for contributing to this video. Make sure to subscribe to them both, as they're both fantastic content creators and streamers. Also, leaving a like and comment is greatly appreciated. Hope you all have a great day.